the coronavirus vaccine, aka the thing you're pretty sure your friend lied to get. Although the vaccine rollout has been going fairly well in the United States, that has not been true everywhere else in the world. But why? Well, let's find out in another episode of Keeping Up with Corona, International Edition. Let's begin with the situation in Europe, the Baskin-Robbins of white people. The continent never really got the pandemic under control, and now it's struggling with vaccinations. While 22% of Americans have gotten at least one shot, in most countries in Europe, that number is only 8%. Honestly, it's been surprising to see Europe struggle so much. I mean, this is Europe, the most sophisticated place on earth. They have Denmark! They should be crushing this, but they're not. And now a controversy over one of their vaccines is only making things worse.
Over in Europe, they are not facing good news. The continent is facing a third wave of the COVID pandemic, as at least 5 countries have now suspended using the AstraZeneca vaccine.
More than a dozen countries have halted the use of the vaccine, including Germany, France, and Italy, as a precautionary measure. But regulators here insist there is no link between the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and a higher incidence of blood clots. AstraZeneca says a review of 17 million people here in the UK and in Europe who've received the vaccine found less than 40 developed blood clots. In their words, even lower than you'd expect to find in the general population.
Just 37 cases in 17 million vaccinations, leaving many wondering why stop the entire program.
Okay, look, I understand being safe. I totally understand being safe. But at the same time, these blood clots are affecting 0.0002% of people. So you might as well be worried that lightning is going to strike the metal of the needle as you're getting the vaccine. And it's crazy that France, of all the countries, is stopping the vaccine because of health side effects. I mean, their national fruit is the cigarette. So a lot of people do think that Europe is overreacting. And I'll be honest, I think I know what the problem is. It's because European scientists are explaining the side effects in a normal tone of voice. You see, if you want side effects to sound less scary, you gotta list them super fast while a fungus dances on our toes. It's also important to remember that not all side effects are the same, right? There are side effects that are more dangerous than the disease that they're fighting. Those are the worst. And then there are side effects that are serious, but are worth the risk. And then there are side effects that are just funny, you know, like diarrhea and boners that won't go away. So doctors have to keep that in mind. But let's move on to Africa, the world's biggest country. Because while Europe's vaccines are sitting unused in the back of the fridge, many poorer countries have been waiting a long time to get any vaccines at all.
We are experiencing, Eamon, a massively uneven vaccine rollout across the world. Only one of the top 40 countries in the world for vaccine rollout is in Africa.
Touching down in Nairobi, COVID-19 vaccinations arrive in Kenya for the very first time. Kenya received its initial shipment of just over 1 million doses as part of the COVAX program, an initiative backed by the World Health Organization aimed at reducing vaccine inequality. In addition to Ghana and Kenya, Rwanda, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast are among countries to recently receive low-cost or free vaccines through COVAX, but it comes after a long wait, far behind wealthier nations that can pay full price.
It took us 83 days from the first jab in the UK to the first jab in Africa.
God damn, 83 days? That's like 2 viewings of the Snyder Cut. Look, the world needs to do a better job of getting vaccines to developing nations because don't forget, if you let coronavirus fester in one place for long enough, it's going to mutate and it's going to come back even stronger where you live. It happens all the time. When Ebola first got to Africa, it was just a stubbed toe. And what's especially frustrating about this is that there are so many people in places like America who can get the vaccine and they just don't want it. I feel like what they should do is make an exchange program where Africans get to swap countries with anti-vaxxers. Vax swap, only on Paramount+.